Today we have Tom Ford's Golden Hour. I did a dedicated video to Tom Ford's Hazy Sensuality because I did not have all three of the new wet dry formulas, and it actually worked out okay because it gave me more time to play around with that one quad, and now I'm doing the same for the other two. So today is going to be Golden Hour. I'm going to have a same dedicated video to Peach Dawn, and I do have pictures up on Instagram with all three of them laid out next to each other, and I have swatches comparing the Peach Dawn and the Golden Hour. But today we're going to focus on Golden Hour. I'm going to have a segment exactly like I did with Hazy Sensuality where you can see it wet and dry, and I'll do comparisons at the end. So let's first talk about the quad. Again, $90, wet dry formula, just like the Hazy Sensuality if you haven't seen it. I've already messed it up because I did it wet and dry, so there's, you know, it's messy. Swatches go up right now. This one reminds me, and I'll have a comparison at the end, of Chanel's Fauve, the tweed Fauve. It's very much Golden Hour, so like sunset. It's a pretty pinky, peachy gold. It's kind of got three different shades in there. The two shades actually that do kind of blend together are these two shades. This one is definitely more pink. This one has more of like a peachy undertone, a more neutral undertone to it. But when you put them on the eye, they kind of blend together. Similar to the two lightest shades in Hazy Sensuality. Although wet, you can see more of a difference. But again, I'm just, you know, telling you there's like two shades that are very similar in here. This shade is very much like rose gold. This shade is a gold gold. This shade here is like a intensified rose gold and actually looks like the shade in Hazy Sensuality, which I'm gonna swatch next to it in a second. And then this shade is the one that's similar but has like a browner cast. So before we get to the application, which I will show you in just a moment, I want to swatch the shade in Hazy Sensuality and the shade here that I think have some similarities. Again, they're not exact. The one in Hazy Sensuality has more of like a purple, and this one, I think it's more, it's warmer. But on the eye, okay, so here's Hazy Sensuality. It's definitely more purple. Here is the shade in Golden Hour. And I'll take the other shade. I think the other shades even, yeah, they're both. It's interesting because on the eye, they actually look cooler, but interesting. Okay, so here's Hazy Sensuality in the middle, and here are the shades from Golden Hour. But can you see what I mean by like this shade and this shade looks similar? This shade has a little bit more like, I don't know, this one has a little bit more brown in it. Like a little bit more brown. This one has a little bit more pink. But when you look at it next to Hazy Sensuality is so much pinker. But the pink in the Hazy Sensuality, like I said, has like this purple. I don't know. There's something about it that's actually just really appealing to me. And this one I thought I would like a lot more. And, you know, we'll get into it. And we'll talk about, you know, my final thoughts when we get to the last segment. But just so you can see before we get started. So here's the eye look using it dry, using it wet. And now I'll show you how I got both of these looks. Okay, so now we're at the putting it on the eye phase of the video. As I did with Hazy Sensuality, I'm gonna let's do dry here, wet here. I think that's what I did last time. Hopefully. All right, let's dig in. Let's start with this shade here. As we saw in the swatches, it's kind of a rosy, beige-ish. What shade is that? It's got some redness to it. Not really my shade, I'll be honest, but let's see how it looks. It's got pigment, and we'll give it that. I don't think I'm gonna like the Golden Hour, this one, and the Peach Dawn as much as I liked Hazy Sensuality, which is, you know, surprising actually, because this is the one, Golden Hour, that when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I like that. But it's not, well, we'll see. I think it's got too much red in it. Like, maybe I'll like the peach one. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually love this one. Shouldn't, you know, judge it before I get going. All right, now we're going to take this shade, which has a little bit more bronze. Yeah, it's a bronze. Going to concentrate it out here. If you're using a natural haired brush, you want to, well, you always want to go in with a light hand because you can always build. But I would suggest, you know, going in lighter and then building. That's pretty much true with any brush, but definitely natural hair brushes because the pigment can be like quite strong when it's a good quad. When there's like, you know, pigment that you don't like and then you suddenly have it all over your eyes, it's a heck of a lot harder to get off. So let's use this shade. This is the lightest shade in here, this peachy shade on the lid. The gold shade I'm going to use like over everything because it's quite gold. But I want to see how this looks without that first. Yeah, this is pretty. It's like almost like a very light coral. It's not, you can see it's got pink to it. It's not peach. It's like a very almost rose goldy kind of shade. It's actually nice. I really like this shade. It's probably my favorite in here. But like I said, this is a lot cooler, like pinker, before you put the gold on, which is why I'm going to put the gold last. I think that will change it. Now I'm just nothing on this brush. I'm kind of just pulling this up into the brow area because I don't really have any shade in here that I want to use in the brow, but I like to have like a little bit of something. So what I tend to do is pull from the shades I've put below and just like lightly kind of pull it up into the brow. If I was doing this for my own look, I'd probably take like MAC, I forgot the name of it, the paint thing. It'll come to me later. The white shade and put it up in the brow to like highlight it. But again, I'm just showing you this quad, so I don't want to use anything else. All right, so that's what that looks like without the gold shade. And I'm gonna take this deeper, not deeper, but like browner shade, one that we used second. I'm just gonna see if I can deepen this. Yeah, you can get some depth. Again, it's not, none of these are matte shades, none of these are super deep shades, but you can, there's enough difference in the shades where you can deepen that up so it doesn't look like, you know, all one shade. Now I'm gonna take the gold, I'm gonna use my finger. The minute you use this shade, especially if you use it all over the lid, which I just did, it's gonna change it because it's quite gold, yellow. So it warms it up, makes it look more peach. I'm going to take that gold shade, put it on the inner corner. The gold shade's pretty. I just have a lot of gold. Like, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of the quads recently have had that gold. It's a pretty gold. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. It's a nice gold. Okay. So yeah, pretty look, but so far, again, just, you know, it's the beginning. Don't like it as much as the hazy. All right, let's try this eye wet. And I'll use the same brushes, using the same mixing medium. I'm not, you know, changing anything. Trying not to change anything so that we can have a similar experience. All right, so now this one, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this a little differently. Okay, we're gonna start with the shade that I put on the eye first. I had like that pinky rose gold, this one. I'm gonna put this all over the eye and then we'll build it. And as I've said, I like to use a little corner of the shade. I feel like, I mean, these are made to be wet dry. I don't know. I like having a little corner. It's definitely rose gold. It's very pretty, actually. If you like rose gold, that's gonna be the shade you like best, in my opinion. Like, if you're a rose gold person, you're gonna be like, oh, that's my shade. Now, I'll tell you, I still like the pink that's in Hazy Sensuality more, which is, again, surprising because all of you who watch me know I don't like pink, like practically at all. But that shade in Hazy Sensuality is just, I don't know, there's something really unique about that pink. I have to spend more time with it to figure out what it reminds me of, but there's like a purpley, I don't know, something different about that one that I really like. Okay, so that's that pinky rose gold shade. So again, if you're somebody who really likes rose gold, that's what that shade is. And it's actually quite pretty. And like an all over rose gold shade. Yeah. I think that's, you know, quite nice. Again, not me, not my favorite, but I think it's nice. All right, now let's take the shade we started with on the other side as the crease. This is like the rosier shade of the deeper shades. It's almost like an intense, it's almost more like the pink shade in Hazy Sensuality. I'm just creating kind of a wave there. See how I just kind of, nothing that you guys can't do. It's super easy. You just take a thin brush and go, whoop. That's it. But it is a pretty shade. Again, it's kind of like the rose gold shade, except more intense. That's what that looks like. Then we're going to take the shade here that has a little bit more brown to it. Just a little, it's not as pink. I'm going to go right under that and just pull it onto the outer corner. Then I'm going to put it along the lash line to create a liner, if you will. So again, that's what it looks like with all of the pink shades, pinkish shades. Golden hour, so really you're thinking of like, you know, sun setting, that beautiful pinky gold that you get. The other day when I was up with Harper, and you know, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. The sunrise was quite beautiful, actually. And I was like, oh, if I wasn't so exhausted and so upset about Harper, I was like, this would be really pretty. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh. So yeah, same kind of thing. Golden hour, you know, the sun's going down. You've got that gorgeous gold sun and reddish and pinks and peaches. We'll compare it to Fauve when we do the comparison side of things. I think it's going to be a similar look. We'll see. All right. I'm going to take that gold shade. Again, this is all being done wet, so you're going to get more intensity. We're going to build the inner corner here. It's definitely a really pretty gold. If you need a bright gold in your collection, that will do it. Yeah, it's really bright. It's very pretty. Okay. And now I'm going to take that the rose gold shade again. I wipe off a lot of the mixing medium when I do this, guys, because like I dip it in the thing and then I take extra off because I don't want to have too much of it, but I'm just gonna reinforce that pink in the middle. Yeah, so obviously wet, you get a much more intense version of the colors, but you have rose gold, you have a more intense like pinkish rose gold, this line here, which actually reminds me of the shade in Hazy Sensuality, which I like. You have an intense gold, and then you have the shade, this brownish shade that does tend to disappear a little bit under all the other shades, but it does ground it out so that it's not as pink. You get a little bit more warmth from that one. But again, I think overall you're getting a cool pinky quad with the gold, which then, you know, makes it, of course, a little bit warmer. Okay, mascara will go on, and then we'll talk about my thoughts about the quad and the formula and all that stuff, and then we'll have comparisons. All right, so now that we've gotten through the eye looks, I think it's really pretty. It reminds me of the Guerlain quads, a whole bunch of Guerlain quads, and I can do some comparisons if you guys want to see those, because I think there's a lot of similarities there. I also think that it's going to be very similar to Chanel's Fauve, so we're going to try that. Desert Fox I pulled out, and Leopard Sun, because I was like, well, let's see what it looks most like. But you know, it's one of those things that I think it's a really pretty quad. I actually think the formula is just like the formula in Hazy Sensuality. Tom Ford did a great job this time. I don't have any, you know, concerns about formula. It's not like it's not performing. It's performing exactly like it's supposed to. It's very pigmented, and the wet dry formula is doing exactly what the wet dry formula should do, which I kind of complained about in the past and been like, yeah, this is not, you know, pigmented or whatever. No, this one's great. That's Hazy Sensuality. I'm sorry, that's a golden hour. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful quad. And if you don't have anything like this, or you don't have any color story that, you know, mimics this, yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's really good quality. I have a feeling though you have something like it because it seems to me that a lot of this color story has come out lately. All right, now this is Fauve. Now Fauve, the difference is going to be that first of all, in the Tom Ford wet dry, the wet dry is like all satin shimmer, and the tweed is not. You have satins / matte, and you have shimmery shades, so they're gonna have different formulas. And it is not a wet dry, whereas the Tom Ford is. And of course you don't have the little cute tweed packaging that comes with it. I actually like Fauve. I know a lot of people didn't really like it, but I do like it. So yeah, there's some similarities there, no doubt. I'd say the difference is, of course, you've got this deep grounding cool brown in this. This has this rose gold shade, which is actually quite unique and very pretty, which does not exist in this. This is a cooler, rosier quad. Now I think you can see on my eye, like this is wet. You know, the shade that's in this like little wave, that is the one that I compared to Hazy Sensuality. It's like that deeper shimmery, almost pink shade now. But again, next to Hazy Sensuality, it's much warmer. But you can see it, like it has a cooler cast on my skin. And the shade all over the eye is that rose gold. And then of course I've got the yellow gold on the inner corner. The deeper other shade that I said looks similar, I put underneath that and then put it in the crease over here and then the outer side, as you saw. You can't really tell that it's two different shades, like I said. Again, over here, what you really end up getting is like 2 or 3 shades. It kind of blends, because 2 of the shades do kind of look similar on the eyelid. But I think you can see that it is a very pretty sunset-y kind of look. But the Fauve has a little bit more warmth, and then this brown, this cool brown kind of grounds it. I'm looking at Leopard Sun. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think this is gonna really be similar, but let's try. Very sparkly shade. I'm trying to think of which Guerlain one I should pull out, because I feel like there's probably a Guerlain one. The names are escaping me right now, but it reminds me of a lot of the Guerlain quads that came out. Okay, so that is Leopard Sun. Leopard Sun, I think, is more like the Fauve, actually, believe it or not. There's some similarity to Golden Hour, but Golden Hour again has this very light rosy rose gold, and then these rosier shades. This is warmer. All right, let's see. I also pulled Desert Fox, but looking at Desert Fox, that's gonna be way too warm. All right, let me pull the Guerlain. All right, I pulled 2 Guerlains. Metal Butterfly, which I think similar, and Exotic Orchid. Star one, which I've just forgotten the name of, has a purple in it, so I was like, All right, so let's try Metal Butterfly. Again, it has a deeper brown in it, but all right, that's Metal Butterfly. I mean, on the surface, it might look like they're similar, but when you swatch them, no. All right, let's try Exotic Orchid. Now again, swatches are just that, they're swatches, which is why I always try to put things on my eyes for you guys, like, and try it with like a, look, because colors that can look different on your arm can then look very similar when you blend them and put them on your eye. Like the swatches, when you do the Tom Ford swatches, they do look different on the arm, but when you put them on the eye, they can blend. I mean, pretty much anything can. So, okay, so there's Exotic Orchid. Exotic Orchid is closer to Golden Hour, but it's still, it is different. Frankly, it's still warmer. And the gold shade is like a more yellowy gold. This one's almost like an antique gold. And these shades are just not as intense as this new one. Okay, well, I'm eating my words because I gotta tell you guys, this actually looks more unique than I thought I was gonna say. Maybe not on the eye. On the eye, you get a similar pinky, sunrisey gold look, but the shades are different. I will say, and I said this about the Hazy Sensuality, the intensity of these things wet, I have to say I am impressed. This is the Tom Ford that the Tom Ford beauty that I fell in love with. The reason I had so many Tom Ford quads is because they used to perform like this all the time. So I will give him that. Like, it's performing extremely well. This is how he got away with charging what he charged and now charging $90, because the formulas used to, like, pack a punch. And that's what you want. You want to get that kind of pigment out of it. So again, I think this is a beautiful look. I think it does look like a sunrise. I think or sunset, I'm sorry. Or maybe even a sunrise. It's really beautiful. It's this pinky gold that has a little bit of peach in there, and wet. It's quite beautiful. But it's not really my color story. I, for some reason, don't like it as much as the Hazy Sensuality, but I think it's because I feel like I've done this look a lot, because a lot of these ones that I just did, although yes, different in swatching, I think when you end up putting it on the eye, you do get a similar look. The Hazy Sensuality, that pink that's in there is just a unique purple. You saw it when I swatched it next to the other shades. It's unique. I can't exactly tell you. I think it almost has like a lavender purple pink in it. And then with the other shades, it looked really nice together. It was just for me, it was just a good collaboration of shades for me. Again, do I think this is really pretty? Yeah, I think it's actually a quite beautiful look. And if I didn't feel like I had it, I'd be like, oh wow, but formula is excellent, same as Hazy Sensuality, definitely more intense with the wet than the dry, but the dry looks beautiful, very pigmented. I had, by the way, lasted all day. The Hazy Sensuality, I'll let this last as well. I mean, I won't just judge based on Hazy Sensuality. I will give it its all day to see how it wears, but the formula feels exactly the same. The colors are really pretty. If you like something that has like a pinkish, because these are rosy pinks, especially these shades, and then this has a little bit more warmth, and then like a bright gold to kind of either balance it or brighten it depending on how you look at it. That's what this does. You could also use, almost any of these. You could use any of these by themselves, honestly, especially wet. They're all intense when they're wet. So, you could do a one and done kind of thing, or you could do a one and done dry. I mean, these are pigmented shades. Do I think it looks pretty on me? Actually, I do, because I look good. My coloring looks good with these types of shades. I still like the Hazy Sensuality more. Again, I just feel like it's more unique, but I think that's because I have these shades already in my collection. I've said this before, like, when I do a review, it isn't based on color story, because I might hate the color story but still be like, the product is excellent. Someone else might like the color story. This product is excellent. Formula is excellent. Color payoff is excellent. Wet dry formula works exactly like it's supposed to. Beautiful on the eye, no patchiness, doesn't like fly all over the face, didn't get any fallout. All good. I just like the hazy sensuality a little bit more. Well, actually a lot more, but I still think it's pretty. So it'll be interesting to see what I think of the Peach Dawn. That's the only one left. So interested in hearing if you picked any of these up. Hopefully they'll be part of sales coming up soon. There's gonna be more sales, guys. A lot more sales. And also as a final note, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who reached out about little Harper. He is doing much better. In fact, I'm going to bring him on camera really quickly. He's not going to be happy about that. But he does have pancreatitis, as I mentioned. You know, we have to change his diet, which he's not happy about because he used to get like pup cups and stuff, and that's not happening. And no human food. But, you know, he went from, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then now he's back to his feisty, normal self. So, yeah, that's really what matters in life. And when you really, you know, not to be too serious for a moment, but really everything else is just, you know, makeup, whether or not, you know, a retailer is treating you well compared to like your loved ones, you know, whether it's your, anything that you love and care about, you know, was in pain or suffering, you just, everything else just falls by the wayside. So, I'm just really appreciative of everyone reaching out and wishing Harper well. Yeah, he's great. So we just have to monitor him, you know, make sure that he's doing all well. I'm going to bring him on so he can say goodbye to all of you. So Harper hates the camera. As many of you know, he's blind. So he has no idea where to look anyway, but this is not something he likes to do. But I did want to have him come on and just say thanks to everyone for being so nice and being worried about him. And he's going to go back to sleep now. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in another video really soon.